Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rego. Welcome to my Dark Souls for Dummies series. This is the second episode, and in this episode, I will be taking on who I consider to be the true boss of the Undead Burg. I'm talking about Havel the Rock. Now, whether or not this is actually Havel or Havel is the subject to some debate between the fans of the game. The reasons for that is because on the armor that you find later in Anor Londo, it states that armor worn by Havel the Rock's warriors. Carved from solid rock, its tremendous weight is matched only by the defense it provides. Havel's warriors never flinched nor retreated from battle. Those unfortunate enough to face them were inevitably beaten to a pulp. Now, it does state that the armor was worn by the warriors of Havel, and not it doesn't state that it was worn by Havel himself. However, the description that you get from Havel's Great Shield and Dragon's Tooth, which are the shield and the weapon for Havel, they find also in Anor Londo next to the chest with the armor, state that Great Shield of the legendary Havel the Rock, cut straight from a great slab of stone. This Great Shield is imbued with the magic of Havel, provides strong defense, and is incredibly heavy. True divine heirloom on par with the Dragon Tooth. And the Dragon Tooth's description states that created from an everlasting Dragon Tooth, a legendary great hammer of Havel the Rock, the Dragon Tooth will never break as it's harder than stone and it grants its wielder resistance to magic and flame. Uh, Now, notice how in the description it does not state anything about the weapon and the shield being used by the warriors of Havel the Rock. It only states that it was used by Havel himself, and a lot of people take the location of the armor and the weapons as a hint that possibly Havel turned against Lord Gwyn, and as a result of that, he was punished. Either he was killed or turned undead. And there's actually I do support the theory that he was turned undead. He was turned hollow by Lord Gwyn. And I will touch on that later. Right now, I'm gonna take on Havel, as you can see in the video. It's entirely possible to beat him with the unleveled weapon as your starting weapon. Uh, what you gotta do is you gotta do some dodging, and you don't see me do it in this part of the video. But it is preferable to two-handed weapon for maximum backstab damage. Otherwise, you can, if you're feeling confident, you can just riposte them, parry and riposte them. His hits are pretty easy to parry. You don't see me doing it here. I just don't want to take the risk since he can easily one-shot me, as you as you see right here. It took me 2 tries to finally get him. Well, 3 tries. I died twice. Here's my second death right here. His running attack is probably the most dangerous attack, since if you roll out a little too early, he will actually readjust and he will hit you as you come out of the roll. So he can still kill you with that. And yeah, it gets me again here. Don't roll in time. Yeah, I'm the Juggernaut bitch. All right. Finally, now I'm gonna get him on this try, I believe. Yeah, I do advise to just roll as he right before he hits, and two-handed weapon for max backstab damage. He actually almost gets me right here. It's pretty pretty. It makes you pretty nervous just dodging him, for like what 5-10 minutes with unupgraded weapon, but Uh, it is worth it early on in the game to kill him, simply because you get his ring, and his ring ups your equip burden, so you can put heavier armor on, and it will allow you to fast roll with some of the heavier armor in the game, which you otherwise would not be able to with a lower endurance rating. Uh, Now, as far as the theory goes, and whether or not he was turned hollow by Gwen. The this item that hints towards that theory is the Watchtower Basement Key, which you get after you beat the Moonlight Butterfly in the Darkroot Garden. It says the description for that key states that it's the key to the basement of the Watchtower in the Undead Burg. The basement of the Watchtower forms a stone cell. There are rumors of a hero turned hollow who was locked away by his dear friend for his own good, of course. Now, the reason why I think this points towards Havel is because the miracle Great Magic Barrier states that it is a miracle of Bishop Havel the Rock, cover body in powerful defensive magic coating. Havel the Rock, an old battlefield compatriot of Lord Gwyn, was a sworn enemy of Seif the Scaleless. He despised magic and made certain to devise means of counteraction. Now, what that states is that Havel was pretty close with Gwyn. How close, we don't know. Maybe he was his friend. Maybe he was just one of his knights. Maybe he was a close ally of his. However, it does state that he was the enemy of Seif the Scaleless. And since when you play the game, Seif is the bishop, and he is Gwyn's subordinate. Gwyn names him Duke. So that kind of leads you to believe that perhaps Gwyn and Havel had a falling out. Maybe it had something to do with Seif. Maybe it had something to do with Seif's experiments. Maybe it wasn't anything that Havel did. Perhaps it was a gesture of friendship between Havel and Seif. I mean, Gwyn and Seif, when Seif betrayed the dragons. So it could possibly be that either Havel had a disagreement with Gwyn, and in return, Gwyn punished Havel by turning him hollow, or it could also mean that when Seif was about to defect to Gwyn's side, the only obstacle standing in his way was Havel the Rock, who was his enemy, which led Gwyn to turn him hollow in return to Seif's betrayal of the everlasting dragons. So there are many ways to interpret it, and that's one of the great things about the game is you can kind of interpret the story in any way you want, and there are many different takes on the story. However, personally, I like to think that it is Havel, the youth fighting in the Undead Burg, just because he has his great shield and he has the weapon. So it kind of makes you think that it was indeed Havel that was turned hollow by Gwyn, or maybe somebody else. Maybe it was one of his other friends. So yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards that theory. As far as the item, you don't get his armor and his weapon and his shield until you hit Anor Londo. And that's another thing that kind of makes me think that the armor that you find in Anor Londo is actually the armor for Havel the Rock's warriors, and that Havel himself was turned hollow. To me, it doesn't really make too much sense from the gameplay perspective to have one of Havel the Rock's warriors and not Havel the Rock himself in there, just because I don't really see a point of just putting some guy, in regular armor and whose name you don't even know, using Havel's weapons and his great shield. So from the storyline perspective, it makes more sense for it to be Havel the Rock, just because of the item description for the Watchtower Basement Key and the description for the Great Magic Barrier. I think together with the discovery that it's Havel the Rock, it makes a lot more sense than him being Havel the Rock's warriors. Now, this dragon right here, it's a pain in the ass to kill at this level, so I'm not going to take him on yet. I will come back and take him on later on, but kind of got to have a weapon that's upgraded, otherwise it's just going to take too long. I mean, it is entirely possible to kill him right now, but he does regenerate, and
he does do quite a bit of damage. He actually has the potential to one-shot you. So with his fire breath, and he does have some pretty dangerous close-up attacks that for me will be hard to dodge since I would only be able to take 1 or 2 hits. Now, thank you for watching. In my next episode, I'm gonna do the walkthrough through the Undead Parish, finishing up with the Bell Gargoyle boss fight, and I'm also going to take on enemies such as the Black Knight, wielding the Black Knight Greatsword, and I'm also going to take on the Boar and the other enemies that are scattered around there, and we're going to go ahead and free Law Track as well. Thank you very much for watching. Now, let me know what you guys think in the comments about Havel the Rock, whether it's Havel the Rock or one of Havel's warriors that we're facing in the Undead Burg. And also let me know what you'd like to for me to show in the series. Like and subscribe if you enjoy.